allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay.
They were talking about, for the time of the presentation, their adoption of a policy on AI, which was really interesting to me. They've been working on it for 2 years, but not so much the policy which they took from Erie County. It was that they spent a lot of time working with their staff, their teachers, students, on a framework for how it would look like to be used in a classroom. And the presenters were the director of technology, but a long-term.
As we did last year, we have our principals come every other month to do their building report.
So this is my first building report this year because I missed the September 23rd one, but I just want to say based on, just going back a little bit. Oh, okay, there we go. We had some great open houses this year. I know we're a little past that, but
we also have some L's that we're going to try to have go the other way. So that was exciting. There's 19 students in the class. 2 of them are juniors, aren't eligible. So having 10 interested, that's a pretty good number. On a similar note, we've been talking about the seal of civic readiness, kind of getting the ball rolling this year so that next year we can get that up and going. And then I think we'll have the whole gamut of, state ed seals and endorsements. The courtyard committee has met a couple times. We're trying to figure out what to do in the courtyard. Currently, there's 10 adults on that committee.
We have a lot of things to celebrate here and a lot of things to be proud of. So I asked Adam to put a brochure together just to kind of really showcase that. Now, my apologies because this is the draft version that I copied for you. So you're going to notice a couple typos. Don't we fix all those typos? On the front, you'll see 82. You'll see that opportunity is spelled wrong. I copied the wrong one. So my apologies there. But this is what the brochure is going to look like. The first group that I'm going to send this to are homeschool families. As you know, through the years, really starting kind of before COVID, our homeschool family numbers have increased. And I thought it would be an opportunity for me to introduce myself as the superintendent of the district, being that I'm still somewhat new. So I wrote a letter to the families. I'm sending that and then this brochure just to see if they have any questions about the district and to reach out to them if they ever wanted to meet or talk more about the Chatham Central School District. I was also thinking that I could maybe possibly give this brochure out to local realtors as people are looking at houses. And also I'm looking for other suggestions on who you think we can give this to, just to showcase what's special about our district. So let me know if you have any thoughts or comments about it. We haven't, necessarily sent this out yet. I know there's typos in here. We're fixing it. They're already fixed, actually. I just copied the wrong one. But any questions on a brochure like this? Any other ideas on how we can utilize this in the community?
I think this is excellent and long overdue. We probably should have a digital version of this.
We do. Yeah,
okay,
we do.
Great.
Yeah, we do. It was digitally done by Adam, so we can certainly put that anywhere digitally as well.
Just like what to know about Chatham thing online. But I do have a specific thought. I don't know if this is the right format. We have constituents going to private schools.
Mhm.
In particular, it's probably worth a discussion another day. We had a group that exited the district all at once a number of years ago. So this was, I think, 10 years ago or maybe a little more. And they formed their own school.
Okay.
But we probably have not done as much outreach as we could be in
Sure.
that community or in others.
Yeah,
So,
and that's why I was thinking the homeschool family, but I could do something similar. In the letter is very, just introducing, it's an introductory letter really of me and telling them that if they ever have any questions about the district, we respect your decision to homeschool, but we wanted you just to reach out because you're still part of our community. That's really what the letter says. And here's a little bit about our district in case you're wondering, and let me know if you have any other questions. But we can certainly do that with private as well. Little harder because for homeschool, we have to track them, we communicate with them. Private's a little bit harder to get their information, but we definitely have a list.
Yeah, I think at least in some cases, we deliver services.
Yeah,
So
yeah, some, yeah. So we definitely have a list of some. I don't think we have all,
Yeah.
unfortunately. We always do like our private families to register here, so we can mark them as part of it, but that doesn't always happen. We do our best to do that. So yeah, no, that's definitely another subgroup that we can send, because why not? Just kind of showcase what we're doing and introductory. And I'm going to talk about this actually in a second, but when we go through the enrollment study next week, you're going to see the number position and save some costs for the district. This should be about a $50,000 savings, including the stipends. So even with the stipends, we'll still save about $50,000. So right there, we're already, even though we're not technically into budget season, we're having to make difficult decisions early on because we have to prepare for the future of the district, and that's what we're doing in every hire that we do. Something I don't want to do, I would love to keep hiring and bringing staff in, but it's our due diligence for the community of Chatham to be looking at all these things.
That's given in the spring. It is scored generally regionally. So in our region, the Auburn, capital region, Auburn scores it, and our teachers actually go and score as part of that group. So we're very, very well versed on. As you're looking at that, there are two different breakdowns, grades K-8 and then grades 9 through 12. They're quite similar, except I would just point out for entering. If you notice at the elementary level and middle school level, it's 2 units of study per week, which is equivalent to 360 minutes. But if you notice with high school, it's 3 units of study, which is 540 minutes per week. So that is quite intense. And you can go ahead, Harris, to the next one. There are 2 tests currently in New York State that are tied to E&L. The second one on here is the nicest lot, the one I just referenced. And like I said, that's given in the spring. That determines units of study for the students. But the first one, the NICETEL, the New York State Identification Test for English language learners, this is when students come in and based on their home language questionnaire, if there is another language spoken at home other than English, that would predicate an interview, and then based on that, the NICETEL is given. From there, the NICETEL would identify if a student would qualify for services. So currently, those are the 2 tests New York State offers. And if you go to the next slide, though, breaking news, change is coming to New York State. We are now becoming what's known as a WIDA state. WIDA is World-Class Instructional Design and Assessment. WIDA is an E&L program and support for ELs. 42 different states and territories and federal agencies participate. Around us, Massachusetts is a WIDA participant, Vermont, Pennsylvania. So I think there's a lot of excitement about this because WIDA is not just testing, it's also support and professional learning. But the way it'll work here, I've gotten some updates on this, and the state's already starting to offer training. The NICE slot will be replaced by the WIDA Access, and then the WIDA Screener assessment will replace the NICETEL. This change will start in New York State in spring of 27. And the first test will be the Access, which is like the NICE slot version. And then that following fall, no more NICETEL will go to the WIDA Screener. So lots to learn on WIDA as we go through. Our E&L team is excited to learn more about it. But I think, the general consensus when I've met statewide and with the Auburn is this is a good change. And I think the SED is really excited about this too. So uniformly, it seems like a good move. What I wanted to do here, and I'll just go through this quickly, and then I have a summary slide, but just to show you each slide, I did one for each grade level. Pre-K is a little unique, and I'll start with them. So what you're going to see on each slide is how many ELs, English language learners, we have at each grade level. what languages are spoken. And I did this for you last spring, so I just thought we'd update it a little bit now. And then the proficiency level, so that entering, emerging, and so on. So with pre-K, there are two L's. They both speak Spanish. And the interesting thing with pre-K is you don't give the NICETEL or NICESLOT at the pre-K level. It's a consultant level of service, but we do provide that. So it, really sets our pre-K students up to be successful in kindergarten.
Unfortunately, the support is not mandated in pre-K, but we go above and beyond, and we still have our teachers work with it. And I think that's because we've talked about this before, especially last year with the presentation in pre-K, that it's not, we don't provide services for our pre-K students. That's provided by the county, and they haven't mandated the counties to provide ELL service. But we are giving those service because, as we know, early intervention is key.
For sure. Okay, Harris, you go ahead. Kindergarten, and again, I won't read all these slides to you. We'll just all dramatically pause at each one. I'll let you take a peek. And first grade. And maybe one thing to point out too, when you look at the proficiency levels, that just shows you the diverse learning and the amount of support that we're providing the students. Okay, second grade. Okay, go ahead. You see also Spanish is clearly the predominant language. And as I say that, Gujarati appears. So in fourth grade. In fifth. Get into the middle school. Chinese, Mandarin Chinese in seventh grade. And then into the high school. Pretty diverse group there with the different levels. And one more. Okay, and then the next slide here, this is kind of a summary of all of what you just saw broken down by grade. So entering students, we have 5, emerging 5, transitioning 7, expanding, and these are going in order as you saw, 16, and commanding 4. In consulting, those are the pre-K students, as we said. Commanding 2 are students who are exiting L services, but you still are compelled to provide 2 years of services and support. So it's a total of 39 students currently. That's fluid, I would say, by a few. We sometimes have grown a little higher, mid 40s, and we don't get much lower than high 30s, though, at least in the past year anyway. We're pretty consistent. This is a very healthy number, and I know there was a big growth in Chatham before my arrival, but I historically am looking at that where we are pretty consistent with what we're seeing. You can go ahead to the next slide. And then from a staffing standpoint in how we deliver this instruction, so we have 3.5, 3.5. This is the same as last year when I presented to you. 3.5 ENL teachers, pre-K through 12. I will say this year, and this is congratulatory and kudos, and I have to say we are very much ahead of a lot of districts in this regard. We have 1 full-time certified ENL teacher in each building, and that wasn't the case even in the spring. We had a couple of teachers finishing, and so congratulations to them and their hard work. And those 3 teachers are in those buildings. They don't travel, which I think, we talked about that last year is probably an enhancement in the instruction. And thus far, I think that is true. We have a halftime person at the MED, obviously our largest school and the most L's, so that would make sense. I'll just say too, all of our teachers deliver both standalone, which means that's when the students meet with the ENL teacher outside of the classroom. And we have done a tremendous amount of work on integrated co-teaching, and we have come a long way in a year, and I'm super proud of the work that we're doing here. We've even asked sometime other teachers to come and observe these classrooms, because it's truly, co-teaching is a word I think sometimes that gets thrown around, and it's not always exactly co-teaching, but I think we are committed to doing that. I know we are committed to doing that, and there's some really good co-teaching happening in the ENL classroom. So we continue to get better, but we're really working hard with that. And then also we are offering SIFE classes again in the spring. We had one here in the high school. Now we don't have one in the high school, but we have one in the middle school focused on math. And this is all need-based. A SIFE student is a student with interrupted or inconsistent formal education. So they qualify for these courses. We have a math class at the middle school and a reading class at MED. And it really allows us to provide a unique and deeper level of support. We work with, there's a program called the Bridges Program, which is funded through a grant through CUNY. And they've given us some curriculum. A couple of our teachers have been trained on that. We actually just, Brett and I and the teachers who are providing it did a virtual meeting with those folks on Friday. And it's going really well. We're really excited about that. So that's our staffing. And I with us tonight, because we talked and she wanted to be here. So Ann is here, right? There's Ann. So something we're working on, we're pretty excited about this. Some innovation in ENL instruction. So we toyed with the idea of coming in and giving you all a pair of these earbuds, but we didn't want the technology not to work, because the irony of that would have just been not good. And we are still, sometimes when you have a lot of them in a small space, we're still kind of figuring these things out. But Ann is going to share with you just a very brief little story on us trying to improve our instruction. And this is a great story that I think you'll like to hear. So, Ann, thank you.
Pretty loud, but okay. Just want to give you some background. I had a colleague approach me about 2 months ago when school first started, and she said, have you heard about the translator earbuds that are revolutionizing international business meetings, because there's not the lag time or the translator issues that we've had in the past, and asked what that implication might be for our L students. I didn't know. We talked about it as a department. I have a colleague here from the department, Susan Lutz, and we had one of our members decide to do a little research about the use of translator earbuds in schools. And schools are not doing this yet. A couple of schools have piloted it. So I went to Terry and I said, what do you think? And he said, well, let's do a little more research. And I spoke to the IT department, and Mike Olson and Harris got right on it and narrowed it down to time kettle earbuds that are live translating earbuds that allow us to speak into an iPad app, and the student receives it in his or her language, which is a tremendous asset. When you think about it, what we've been using so far is Google Translate. I have to speak into the app then translate. The student either has to read it or wait for it then to read itself back in his or her own language. And that's tedious, it's clunky, it's not immediate, and especially our younger students have not taken to it very readily. This allows our students to immediately hear what it is that's being said in his or her home language. So Harris was wonderful about identifying this particular product as the most usable for a classroom situation. And we've piloted it with a fourth grader. We chose this fourth grader because until now, he just started last year. He's at the entering level, and he has been very isolated. He does not participate in lessons. He very often will choose to fall asleep rather than listen. That's with the Google Translate app. That's even with live translation with our bilingual teachers, and also trying to do it on my phone immediately with the student. It has not been very successful. So what we did was we got the app on the iPad. We gave him the earbuds. He put them in his ear. I talked to him on Google Translate to tell him what we were doing. Either he didn't understand or he wasn't particularly interested. So he put them in his ear just like he would if he was going to do iReady. And I spoke to him on the app and I told him if he could hear me to touch his nose. And he wasn't looking at me, but when I said that, his whole face lit up and he started doing this. So it was amazing. And he has since been using it regularly. And we've actually had an accidental benefit as well. One problem we're having with it is if anybody else is teaching or talking at the same time, those translations jump right into what the student is receiving. So I've had to teach our 4th grade co-taught class that if they're talking while I'm teaching or my co-teacher, Steph Lineberry, is teaching, that this young man is unable to understand what's going on. And they're lovely. They're saying to each other all the time, shh, 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 so that Jose can hear what's being taught to him. So we're very excited. We're going to pilot it in 3rd grade later this week. Hopefully by next week, we'll be in the middle school with it, with a 7th grade entering level, and then on to some of our 9th grade students we're going to use it specifically for entering and emerging students who have the greatest difficulty understanding instruction. The district has purchased 12 sets. So we'll let you know how it goes. So far, so good. And I'm also really happy that we have 2 of our L students here this evening to share all this information with. So thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say, these are reasonable.
I think the definition of how a student qualifies for that is ever growing as the world and other
questions that all have similar content, and we'll group them together. So for a student, we might see that one of their strengths is they might feel they have a lot of empathy, and that's based on a bunch of questions that got grouped together. So that was something that we're going to make sure that students know you can answer honestly. No one sees your exact answer. Things are grouped together. I know that was a concern at the high school. But today we had an hour-and-a-half session with a representative from PAIR. He came on via Zoom and had an amazing session with all of the social workers, school psychologists, counselors, and Mr. Fortran to really understand, okay, we have this data. How do we interpret it? So it was an amazing session. The counselors were really excited to see.
But we gave them the list that we created, and we're going through one piece at a time. And it'll take time. They're not all going to get done right away.
All right. Thank you. Jaden, would you like to do the students rep? Thank you.
Okay. So some updates from this last couple weeks. Well, I want to start off with Powerpuff results from last night. If anybody came, the seniors won. Fall sports are over, and some of our winter sports like basketball and boys volleyball is starting up soon. Last Thursday was the Pops concert. Pretty good turnout considering it was at 4:00 instead of 7. It was nice to see everybody dressed up and in their college.
Decision by then, because we're gonna have to set up, depending upon how many we receive. So
Wait,
November
So a point when?
by December 9th. Make a decision, and then they would be sworn in on the December 9th.
So you could do that during executive session.
On the 9th or on the?
You'll have to have a special meeting.
Oh, so we may
have to have a special meeting,
Okay.
just depending on how many
Okay.
we receive.
So it's possible that if the scheduling works out, we'll figure it out on the 18th, but it's also possible we won't figure it out on the 18th. We'll have to do special meetings.
Yes, very possible.
Okay.
It just really depends how many people yeah.
Well, should we pencil a time now? It might be easier to schedule an emergency meeting now, even if we don't need it, than it would be. I guess we're talking about the week of the